All right, what's up, boxing fans? It's Aztec 101 in the ring. Um, I'm excited for this weekend. I'm very excited for this weekend. I'm excited for this entire month. Um, I know a lot of us have been talking a lot of shit about Floyd McGregor, but I mean, even that fight's gonna I guess keep us entertained because we got Miguel Cotto versus Kamagai the same night. And I think that same night we're also going to have Sean Porter versus Thomas Delorme. So, as a whole, as a package deal, um, this is a very good month of boxing. Let's see here. Hey, what's up, Rasclat? Um, I do want to talk about, just a few things. I've been noticing a lot that there's there's a lot of fake Rigo fans out there, and I can tell when you're a fake Rigo fan when the conversation comes up on what Rigo is doing at 122, and if you go, well, no one knows who Magdaleno is. Who is Magdaleno? Who's Vargas? When you start asking these questions, yeah, I start thinking like you don't even follow the fucking division. How can you say you're a Rigo fan? It seems like the only reason why you would mention Rigo is because there's somewhat of a, I don't know, I guess everyone wants to see Lomachenko lose to someone and they prefer it be Rigo. But that's like saying I'm a Keith Thurman fan, but I don't know who Errol Spence is. You know what I mean? That's like saying you're an Erislandy Lara fan, but who's Jamal Charlo? Who's Jamal Charlo? You know? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. You're an Anthony Joshua fan, but who's Wilder? Who the fuck is Wilder? You know what I mean? You could just see that there's a lot of fake fucking Rigo fans. And to be honest, Bob Arum did a number on Rigo, but if the fake fan base turned into real Rigo fans and started demanding Rigo fight some of these young hungry lions, I think that Rigo's career would be in a lot better position. It'd be very difficult to argue that Rigo is the best in his division if he at least fought two of the four champions that are available. Let's see here. Lots of good fights happening at 122. Yeah, that's true. But they're all happening without Rigo. They're all happening without Rigo. That's the biggest problem, is that I would like to see Rigondeaux. See, this isn't coming from a perspective of, I'm not hating on Rigo. I'm not hating on Rigo. I'm not calling for him to fight some of these young guys just so he could lose. You know what I mean? I'm calling for these fights because they're very, very good matchups. And if Rigondeaux happens to beat these guys, I would give Rigo a lot of credit. I would think that's a good legacy to leave behind. Fighting these young champions over, possibly fighting Lomachenko. But Lomachenko's got options. What if Lomachenko decides to fight Orlando Salido? Is he ducking Rigo? Or if he fights Rigo, is he ducking Salido? Lomachenko's in a position where it doesn't really matter which direction he goes. He's got responsibilities in his own division. And the same could be said about Rigo. Let's see here. Rigo doesn't want to fight anyone in the top 10. He's been ducking ever since he beat Donaire. I know a lot of people were very critical on Frampton, Quigg, Leo Santa Cruz, because Rigo was mentioning their names, but these guys, they just didn't seem like they wanted to fight Rigondeaux. So these guys left the division. They moved up. Now, a lot of people say, Well, they moved up so they could avoid Rigo. And at the end of the day, now we're this is about 3 years later after they've moved up. You got Rigo wanting to move up without fighting any of the other champions in his division. So it's almost like Rigo's pulling the same move that Leo Santa Cruz did, but there's no demand and no repercussions for Rigo. There's no incentive. The boxing fans and the boxing media isn't putting any pressure on Rigo to fight some of these younger guys. You know what I mean? And even if it's just a bluff, even if Magdaleno and Vargas, if these guys are just calling out Rigo as a bluff, I think Rigo should call their bluff. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Hey, what's up, Red Fox? Let's see here. Yeah, lots of good fights for him at 122. I would favor him, but high risk, low reward. Here's the thing, man, and I don't know if it's because I know what's his name? I know Bob Arum and Freddie Roach. They got a lot of heat for saying that certain fighters don't sell while others do. But I mean, I guess, is it racist for me to say that Rigo would probably make more money fighting a Mexican than he would fighting, an Eastern European like Lomachenko? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that to diss Lomachenko. I'm just saying, if the fight was in California or the fight was in Texas, wouldn't Rigo stand to make more money, especially at the gate, against, a Mexican or a Mexican-American fighter? So, I don't know. I think that there's reward there, financial reward at 122. The Mexican fan base, they love the lower divisions. I think, how the WBC was trying to make a belt for Canelo versus Chavez Jr., and they were hyping it up as if this is the battle for Mexico, right? Which, Mexicans and the rest of the world, they didn't really fall for that. They all thought that was bullshit. But as of right now, I do know that in Mexico, the Cuadras versus Estrada fight is a big fight. Like, these are the Cuadras and Estrada. There's a lot of people that view Estrada as and Cuadras as like the best fighters coming out of Mexico, and this is honestly that's the real fight for Mexico, between those two. And that these lower divisions, they receive a lot of respect from Mexican community, from a lot of boxing fans from Latin America. There's a lot of fighters, a lot of Cuban fighters, a lot of Colombian fighters, a lot of Argentinians, Mexicans. There's a lot of Latino fighters coming out of the smaller weight divisions. And, I think Rigo would make a lot of money fighting anybody that is ranked on the top 10. He might make less money. It might be a high risk, low reward to fight, Shun Kubo or Oguni. You know what I mean? But that's his division. They're there. I'm sorry. He's going to have to take some of these fights. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm reading the comment section. Red Fox, you're asking who's hating on Walters. Yeah, man. I think a lot of people got upset that Walters is not fighting on the undercard for Crawford versus Ndongo. And to be honest, I really haven't been. Here's the problem that I have with this. I came late to the party when it came down to Nicholas Walters being on the undercard. I didn't know that he was going to be appearing on Saturday night's undercard. I had no idea. I did a video yesterday, and just so happens, as soon as I got done with the video, there's news that Walters is not even going to be in the fight. And I did I did some research. I did a little bit of a breakdown. And I was honestly excited to see Nicholas Walters come back. But, I just find it funny that everyone's shitting on Walters. I didn't hear hype about his fight coming up. I didn't hear anybody mentioning that he was even going to fight on the undercard. Everyone was just talking about Crawford and Ndongo. No one was talking about Mike Alvarado coming back and fighting on the undercard. No one was talking about Nicholas Walters. And then all of a sudden now people are upset that, he turned down the fight or that he's not going to be able to make it. I guess he got sick. But, I just really wasn't hearing any hype from it. And now everyone's upset. I think it's I think it's a little bit of fake outrage, to be honest. Hey, what's up, Boxing Comments? What's up, guys? Let's see here. Walters might have to fight at 140 or something. The guy is huge. Nicholas Walters can move up. He can move up, but there's a lot of guys around him that I'd like to see him fight. There's divisions underneath him. There's divisions above him. I'd like to see him fight. I would like to see him fight Oscar Valdez. They both fought Mariaga, so they have a like opponent. I'd be interested in seeing Oscar Valdez versus Nicholas Walters. I think that's a great fight for both of them. Nicholas Walters fighting at 140 would be great. I can see him, I could see him moving up and fighting Crawford if Crawford decides to stay at 140. But 140 is a pretty weak division. I think he's better off where he's at. He's got more options around him. There's a lot of names that you can mix and match with him. And I'd like to see him avenge the whole Sosa fight and probably get a rematch with Lomachenko. I would like to see that fight again. I think everyone's kind of upset with the fact that he quit, but to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing him give it another shot. Let's see here. It's fake outrage because they're still pissed he didn't derail Vasyl Lomachenko. Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with there was just so much hype behind Nicholas Walters. There was a lot of people going, "Hey, this guy's gonna give Lomachenko his second loss. He's gonna dethrone this hype job." And then Lomachenko went in there, and it wasn't even a close fight. So, a lot of people are mad at Nicholas Walters when really they should have just been mad at themselves because they underestimated Lomachenko, who's a really good fighter. We just can't deny that. He's a really good fighter. And there's a lot of people hoping that Rigo can move up and derail Lomachenko, but hey, man, there's a good chance that Rigo gets knocked the fuck out by Lomachenko. There's a good chance he gets outmaneuvered, outboxed. Let's see here. I also heard Walters pull it out. Didn't hear he was going through with the fight. Yeah, Boxing Comments. I did a fucking video yesterday. I was doing a breakdown, and as soon as I got done with the video, I started seeing people talk about Nicholas Walters pulling out of the fight. So I was kind of disappointed. I really want to see Nicholas Walters come back. It's not like he was fighting the best opponent, but I think at this point, Walters does need that kind of, tune-up fight, a showcase fight, something that he can use to get back into the game. Let's see here. Walter's frame looks like he's draining to get to 130. Possibly. I mean, yeah, there could be a good chance he's draining himself. There could be a good chance. I mean, if he moves up, I would like to see him fight Mikey Garcia. That would be fun. You know, Nicholas Walters versus Mikey Garcia. I think that'd be a fun fight to watch. Let's see here. Nicholas needs to train with Robert Garcia to give him that brawling hunger. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Robert Garcia is a really good trainer. Really good trainer. I think for the past few years, he's been earning a Trainer of the Year award. His fighters are constantly fighting. He's always in someone's corner. Right now, he's training Jose Aldo. And, I mean, just from what I've been seeing, I see improvements. He's really helping out Jose Aldo. And you can really tell that Garcia is a really good trainer because you see automatic improvements, you know? And I'm telling you, like, even Maidana was, before getting to Robert Garcia, I mean, Maidana was he was a brawler. He was highly underestimated. But no one really respected his boxing skills. You know what I mean? Like, everyone expected that if he went up against a really good boxer at 147, that he was going to get outboxed. I mean, people really, even I thought that he was going to get outboxed by Adrian Broner. But really got surprised by how tactical he looked and how his technique improved. Yeah, he throws weird punches at weird angles, but I think Robert Garcia, instead of trying to fix that, he helped him enhance those attributes. You know, instead of taking it away from him and saying, well, you know what, you're punching wrong. I don't like the way your overhand right looks. I don't like the way your uppercut looks. Instead of doing that, you know, I think he enhanced those awkward movements that Maidana has. So he's a really good trainer. Aztec, Garcia dad, a better trainer. He doesn't know when to stop the fight when their guy is losing. Well, of course. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, his dad's the one training. His dad's the one that trained him. And his dad is the one training Mikey Garcia. His dad has a different approach. I think Robert Guerrero, though, he could really only do what... I mean, not Robert Guerrero. Fucking Robert Garcia. He can only really do with what he's provided with. Like, you know, he can't turn a shitty fighter into an elite fighter. But if you got a really good fighter, he can make that fighter much better. And, his dad seems like he just doesn't have the energy to focus on all these other fighters. And, you know, for the most part, I mean, Robert Garcia is just doing his thing, man. He's actually pulling it off, and he's getting some wins. He's rebuilding careers. I'd like to see a lot of these fighters take on, Robert Garcia as a trainer. You're starting to see a lot of Eastern European fighters starting to look for his name. Let's see here. Loma rents the gym upstairs from Robert Garcia. I didn't know that. I had no idea. That's pretty cool. If he does, then I want to see Mikey Garcia up in Loma's face every fucking day. I mean, if they're really that close to each other, if they're really, right next to each other where they're sharing the same building, the same facility to train, I mean, I want to see Mikey Garcia invade his space, go in there and start calling him out. Let's go, champ. Let's see here. Big G trained Francisco Vargas, and Francisco Vargas is a very, very fucking good fighter. Jesus Christ, that guy's fun to watch. I mean, he's the one that gets fight of the year every year. The guy's just fun to watch, man. Let's see. Let's see here. I don't know if you guys know, but Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor is going to be at the T-Mobile Arena. And one thing I noticed is they have Sean Porter versus Thomas DeLorme also scheduled the same day at the T-Mobile Arena. So I know the Sean Porter versus Thomas DeLorme fight is going to be aired on Fox and won't be on the pay-per-view event. But I wonder if it's going to be like if you bought the Floyd Mayweather ticket, are you going to also get the Sean Porter fight? It'll just be aired on Fox instead of pay-per-view. And if that's the case, why not have Sean Porter versus Thomas DeLorme on the actual pay-per-view? That seems like a really good fight. I don't understand why they're going to have that fight on Fox. Yeah, no, it's not going to be the MGM Grand, Red Fox. It's at the T-Mobile Arena. Which is good. I mean, I think you can fit more heads at the T-Mobile Arena. So that might drop the price. They might have charged a lot more for the tickets if it was at the MGM. Hey, what's up? Zone 6, Nationalistic Empire. Why'd you change your name, dog? Damn. Walters has that Mikey Garcia body type. Yeah, I think that'd be a good matchup. Walters versus Mikey Garcia. I think they square up pretty evenly. So that'd be a good fight. That'd be a really good fight. Yeah, Zone 6, what's up, dog? What's up, man? I'm glad all you guys are here. I do want to talk about, a few things because this month is fucking stacked with some pretty good cards. Miguel Cotto versus Kamagai. How do you guys see that fight going? For me, in my point of view, at this point, Cotto is not in a position where our level of expectation is what it used to be, you know? We really don't expect Cotto to go in there and fight one of the Charlo brothers or fight fucking Demetrius Andrade. We don't expect that from Cotto. I think we're waiting for Cotto to... This is a good fight to see where he's at. Good fight to see where he's at. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind Miguel Cotto versus Austin Trout. I wouldn't mind a rematch. I would like to see that fight. I would like to see if Cotto can get that win from Trout. Boxing fan, what's up, man? Yup, this weekend Indongo Crawford. Indongo gonna write history? We'll see, man. We'll see. I'm telling you this, 100% I'm rooting for Indongo. I really like Crawford, but I would like to see an upset, you know? It would be a change of pace. It would be different. I would like to see an upset. I've been following Indongo and seeing him train, and he just seems like a positive guy. So as far as an individual, you know, I got nothing against either fighter. I think that I just think that Crawford, there's a better chance that Crawford wins the fight, man. I'm favoring Crawford to win, but I'm rooting for Indongo, if that makes sense. Sean Newton, I wanted Cotto versus Bradley. Man, that would not have been a bad fight. And you know what? I wouldn't have minded Cotto versus Marquez either. I know they were talking about the fight, and I honestly wouldn't mind that fight. I think that would be a great fight. Either one. Timothy Bradley and Cotto or Marquez and Cotto. We'll see how Cotto reacts to Kamagai, though. We'll see how he reacts to Kamagai. Let's see. Indongo might KO Crawford. I mean, he might. He might, you know, I wouldn't bet my money on it. I wouldn't bet my money on it. He's got a puncher's chance. He's definitely a hungry fighter. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You know what I mean? He's right now, he's in the middle of the perfect storm, right? He's got 2 titles, and he hasn't built his name enough to where Crawford will feel this is too dangerous for him to take on right away. So that what's left of the unknown, you know, yeah, Crawford, I mean, Ndongo could very well be a very good fighter, but from what we've seen, he looks beatable. So I think from Crawford's point of view, it's a win-win situation. I get all 4 belts, and this is probably going to be the easiest route to becoming undisputed. And from Ndongo's point of view, he's like, I got nothing to lose. If I fucking lose, no one knows who I am already. Who cares? And if I win, I make history. From Ndongo's point of view, he's set in the perfect situation. Let's see here. Oh, what's up, Quran Bread? Let's see. Oh, shit, you hope Cotto gets whooped on? I mean, Kamagai, if Kamagai pulls an upset, that shit'll be fun to watch, too. I doubt it. I highly doubt it, man. I highly doubt it. I don't think Kamagai's the guy to do it. You know? I think we're going to see a knockout in that fight. But who knows? I mean, Cotto might get brave and take on some of the young fighters at 154. Try to get a title again. And if he goes up against, Erislandy Lara or, Hurd or Jermell Charlo, I think that he's a little too old, a little too short, and just a little bit, just too old for these young guys. Lara might be a good fight for him. Lara really isn't doing shit. But from what I've heard, Lara and Demetrius Andrade are finally fucking talking about negotiating a fight. For next year, though. I mean, I'm not going to get too excited about it because, to be honest, at this point, I really don't give a fuck about Lara. At this point, I don't give a shit about Lara. But I heard that there's a possibility they might make the fight next year. They're planning on negotiating. I've never heard an announcement on a possibility of negotiating. Like, you'll hear an announcement like, hey, we're going to fight in 3 months. Not in 1 month, we're going to sit down and talk about fighting. Like, that shit doesn't make sense. Why even announce it? You guys should be fighting. Should be it should be either fight or get stripped situation. I don't know what the fuck the WBA is doing. WBA has been really fucking up in that division. Let's see here. Nobody knows why boxers quit. Sometimes he could have a broken eye socket, be too dehydrated, which could cause brain or shut down or go into a coma. I respect Walters. I respect Walters too, man. You know, I think a lot of people weren't happy with the fact that he quit in such a lucrative fight, because that really would have put Nicholas Walters on the map. And I think a lot of people were hoping that Walters was going to be the one to dethrone Lomachenko, just like Red Fox said earlier. But it ain't happen. And, he's getting heat for it. And the thing is, Duran, yeah, he retired as an all-time great, right? But, Duran will never live down the no mas situation. He'll never live it down. Even when he's not fighting, people still talk about it. So It's one of those situations. I mean, even when Walters quit, everyone's title on their video was Walters said no mas. So shit, even when it's fucking years after Duran retires, people are still using that as a reference to someone quitting. So, I mean, Duran's never going to live that down. He's never going to live that down. Let's see here. Crawford beats Pacquiao and Spence. I agree with Pacquiao. I think Crawford can beat Pacquiao. I don't know if he can beat Spence. I haven't seen Terrence Crawford fight someone that skilled and at that weight class. It's very hard to tell if he's going to be able to do what he normally does against smaller fighters. If he's going to be able to do that with Errol Spence, you know. I think fucking Errol Spence, Kell Brook, Keith Thurman, I think they all give Terrence Crawford a run for his money, you know. Let's see here. Loma is the truth, but let's not get too carried away. He ain't no Manny. That's a fact. Rasclot. Yeah, well, obviously, I mean, he doesn't have the resume that Manny Pacquiao has built, so it's really hard to prove if Lomachenko is as good or better. You know what I mean? It's too soon. It's a little too soon. He's a good fighter. He's got the skills. He's got my attention. He's got everyone else's attention. So he's doing something right. But, you know, he's got responsibilities. He's still got Orlando Salido problems. There's fighters around him willing to fight him. You got Mikey Garcia walking up to him, talking about, hey, when are you going to fight? You know, you got other fighters like Rigo calling him out, fucking trolling him on Twitter and shit. You know, he's got responsibilities. There's things he's got to do to be able to prove to us that he's really that good. From what I saw from Pac's last fight, Bud beats him. He beat Spence too. Red Fox. Yeah, I think Crawford at this point will beat Manny Pacquiao. At this point, I mean, how many years are we? Shit, man. I remember when Manny Pacquiao came back and fought Brandon Rios after he got knocked out. You know, after Manny Pacquiao got knocked out, and you know, people are talking about like, yo, after the knockout, you're not the same fighter anymore. You're not the same. You know, after you became a politician and you know, you started doing other things outside of boxing. You're just not the same fighter. You got into Christianity. Now you're all nice and you're all mellow. You know, when you used to go in the ring, you used to kill it. And we just don't see that from Manny Pacquiao anymore. I mean, he goes in there, fights Chris Algieri, knocks him down like fucking 17 times, but doesn't get him out of there. You know, which you know, I can't blame Manny Pacquiao for that. I don't want to, you know, give him unnecessary criticism, but you guys know what I mean. He's just not the killer that he used to be. Terrence Crawford at this point, you know, he's in his prime. I think that Terrence Crawford outworks Manny Pacquiao. But you know, hey, we all know that Manny Pacquiao is going to be fighting Jeff Horn next. You know, there's going to be a trilogy. If Pacquiao wins, they're going to have a third fight. And if Jeff Horn wins, Pacquiao's going to retire. That's the way I see it. Let's see. Got to catch up to the comments. Loma is not the best I have seen. Oh, Loma is not the best I've seen. Not even close. Right. Yeah, he's not the best. He's not the best fighter I've seen. I mean, he's a special fighter. He's definitely a special fighter. But, you know, he's just not the best I've seen. I've seen a lot better, and I've seen a lot of guys that they look fantastic, in their first couple fights, you know, and then they get ran over by someone younger, faster, better, and more hungry than them. So, I'd like to see Lomachenko fight Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez and Lomachenko fought in the amateurs, from what I've heard. Because I mean, I know that Zapata Boxing had brought up that he knew someone that saw that fight live, that amateur fight. And there's some people saying that Oscar Valdez got robbed against Lomachenko in the amateurs. So I don't know. I would like to see that fight happen. Lomachenko versus Oscar Valdez. Loma's resume is good, but he ain't no Manny. Right. I already read that. Crawford could outbox Spence better than Brook was doing for some rounds. Right. I get what you're saying, Red Fox, but can Crawford take Spence's punches? You know what I mean? Like we saw Kell Brook have some success at 160 against Triple G. Right? We saw that even though his eye socket got fucked up, he ended the fight on his feet. They had to stop the fight, but obviously, other than that fracture, that, Kell Brook's durable. But we don't know how Crawford is going to react. And Errol Spence is one of the biggest welterweights around. I think he's bigger than Sean Porter, and Sean Porter blows up. He blows up. He gains a lot of weight. From the day before, from weigh-in to fight night. He rehydrates 20, 30 pounds. So, someone like Errol Spence who does the same thing but is a lot better boxer, I think that, he lands a clean shot on Terrence Crawford, and we really don't know how Crawford will react to that. Let's see here. Loma versus Tank. Who you got? Zone. Honestly, I got Lomachenko in that fight. Hey, I want to see Tank Davis do it, but I was not happy with the way Tank Davis responded to a question when there's an interview where he was asked specifically about Lomachenko. I wasn't happy with the way that he responded. He sounded like he really didn't want to fight Loma. Honestly, before seeing that interview, I would say Tank. I would say Tank Davis is too athletic, too strong. He's hungry, or at least I thought he was hungry. And then I saw that interview, and you got Tank Davis saying, well, you know what? I'm in a different part of my career. I don't have to rush it. He's coming from the Olympics. He has to rush his career. So when he was asked, like, yo, are we going to see Lomachenko versus Tank Davis? He goes, well, I don't know. Maybe. And that rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. Let's see here. Who y'all like to win, Cuadras versus Estrada? Hey, that's a pick 'em fight for me, man. I don't have a dog in that fight. I like both of them, to be honest. I like both of them. So, man, who I would want to win? I don't know. I just know that the winner is going to probably fight the winner of, Chocolatito and the rematch that he's having, which is, I think, on the same card. So, I don't care. All right, to be honest, I don't care. Estrada is one of the best fighters coming out of Mexico. So is Cuadras. Both of these guys are highly skilled, highly technical. They're very fast-paced. They make exciting fights. So, to be honest, man, I really don't care who wins. I'm excited for that fight. That shit's going to be fireworks. Sean Noon says Estrada by TKO. You think so? You think he's gonna end the fight? You don't think it'll go to decision? I know Cuadras took a lot of punishment in his last fight. Took a lot more punishment than we're used to seeing Cuadras take. So, there's a good chance that Estrada can put in that work and get him out of there. So, yeah, I mean, it's really possible. It's possible. Does Tank even know Berchelt or Corrales exists? Tank was just so focused on. Right now, he's going to be fighting. Who is he fighting? He's fighting Francisco Fonseca. I know he was really focused on Tevin Farmer, but thanks to you guys letting me know that Tevin Farmer got shot, I had no fucking clue. But makes sense on why he's got the fight with Francisco set up. Francisco is still top 10. Still top 10 under the IBF. So I'm not really too mad at that. He's undefeated. So, you got someone who's got 19 wins against Gervonta Davis, who's got 18 wins. I think it's a good fight. It's a solid fight. Yeah, he's just another prospect. That's right. Just another prospect. And I think that's a really good fight with Tank Davis. Here's the thing. I completely understand with Tank Davis listening to his manager, not making any irrational decisions and taking on fights that he's not ready for. I do think that he needs to build himself up just like any other fighter. I think that he needs to be efficient, take on as many fights as he can right now. But at the end of the day, you are a champion, so you gotta act like a champion, and you're gonna have to start calling out some of these top dogs. We want to at least see you interested in these fights, and that's one of the biggest things that I have with Rigo. Rigo's not showing interest in fighting any of the guys around him. I mean, it's frustrating. It's frustrating when you see someone like Rigo do it with Gervonta Davis. I will give him somewhat of a pass because he's not used to having cameras in his face. He's not the marketing director. He's not a PR. You know what I mean? He probably just answered, honestly, what fucking Floyd Mayweather told him. He was probably just repeating the same shit that someone like Floyd Mayweather would say. There's a good chance that Floyd Mayweather probably sat him down and said, look, I know you probably want to fight Lomachenko, but, you don't have to rush your career. He does. And when Tank got asked, do you want to fight Lomachenko? He just repeated that shit. So you just got to watch what he said. Because he has to watch what he say. Because if he doesn't, people are going to go on his neck and he's going to look like a weak guy in the division. But he's got a lot of talent. A lot of talent. Let's see here. Cuadras is the best at 115. Man in Water, what's up, bro? How's it going? I wouldn't mind Cuadras versus Rigo. I wouldn't mind Cuadras versus Rigondeaux. They were supposed to fight at the Panama Games the year that Rigondeaux, they were the finalists. Like the finalist was Carlos Cuadras versus Guillermo Rigondeaux. But 24 hours before the fight happened, Rigo didn't show up to the weigh-in, and I think that's when he left. That's when he tried to leave with Erislandy Lara. So it's a fight that never happened. It was going to happen in the amateurs. Now they're pro. And, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. I wouldn't mind it. Let's see here. Tank better make it easy or end up like a Amir Iman. He shouldn't take it easy, but I get what you're saying. Shouldn't take it easy. Amir Iman had just a lot of hype behind him. Unnecessary hype. You know what I mean? So when he got beat by Adrian Granados, that set him back a few steps. You know what I mean? But I honestly think that Tank Davis is how would I put this? He's a lot more talented. He's a lot more talented. I never thought Amir Imam was that great of a fighter. I thought there was a lot of hype behind him. He was tall, he was lanky, but really I didn't see anything special. Not from Imam. But I do think Tank Davis is Tank Davis is special. There's something about him. The guy isn't a normal fighter, man. He's not a normal athlete. He's not average. He's definitely above average. Tank would probably say Burchell hasn't done enough yet. Or who has he beat? We'll see what happens. Let's wait. Let's see what happens. Because we know that I think it's going to be, I guarantee you Max Kellerman is going to be the one that comes out and interviews Floyd and McGregor and all that shit. So he's probably going to be there for the undercard. And he'll probably walk up to Tank Davis and ask him, hey, who do you want to fight next? I really like that that Max Kellerman is very forward in asking fighters, who are you going to fight next? I think it's important especially if you're going to retain boxing fans, get them excited about the next fight. Let's see here. Zone 6, you're saying Rigo is trash. He's acting like trash, bro. He's acting like it. Lara, a.k.a. Mr. Debatable Winner. Lara's one of the worst champions. Worst. And by worst, I mean he's not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of talent there. It's a lot of talent, but he's not doing anything. But you know what? A lot of that had to do with he had a lot of fake fans, man. He had a lot of fake fans. The same way that Rigo is being used for Lomachenko, Lara was being used for Canelo. And as soon as Canelo and Lara fight was over, everyone dropped the ball with Lara and just kind of fucking ignored him. So now Lara fucking had like 4 or 5 title defenses against nobodies. And it's 2-3 years later, and we're going, what the fuck happened? What the fuck happened? There was a shitload of people talking about Lara. I remember there was a whole channel I went up against. I don't know if you guys remember Raw Boxing, but I remember I went back and forth with him on the Canelo fight. And after that fight was over, that fool shut down his channel. Lara ran for dear life versus Canelo. Yeah, and honestly, he walked out of there thinking that he did better than Floyd. I remember one of the reporters called him out on it. Like they told one of the reporters in Spanish, told him straight up, "You did not do better than Floyd." And Lara said in English, he's like, "That's bullshit," and he walked away. Lara is full of shit, man. Lara's full of shit. For the longest time, and I fucking hate his manager. That fat-faced fucking motherfucker. I fucking hate that dude. Why the fuck is he always in Lara's corner? What the fuck does that dude know about boxing? That fool looks like he hasn't been on a treadmill since ever. I fucking hate that his manager. His manager is such a shady, lying little fucking snake. He's a fucking snake. I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy. That fool just talks shit. Raw Boxing loved him as Cuban fighters. Hey, he loved them, but not. He didn't love them enough to keep pushing them after they lose. He just loved them enough to talk shit, but then they lose and he lets them go. So really, how supportive are you of your fight? That's what I'm talking about, man. Fake fans. Lars got fake fans. Rigo's got fake fans, and it's kind of a fucked up situation. I agree with you that Rigo should fight champions in his own division, but the Loma fight is the most interesting. Man in water. So this is my response. Whether or not it's interesting is not part of the debate, because I think we can all agree that that's a fight we would like to see, right? I don't think there's anyone doubting that that's a great fight. We want to see it. But Lomachenko's got other opportunities. There's other fights that he can take that are just as good. So can we really get on Lomachenko's case if he decides to fight Mikey Garcia? What if he decides to fight Orlando Salido and avenge his loss? I mean, there's fights that Lomachenko can take. He's got options. Rigo has options too, but he's not acknowledging those options. He's pretending like there's only one guy in front of him that can get him that payday or that can get him. And to me, that's bullshit. It's a cop-out. It's a cop-out. You know? Let's see. I'm not certain Lara won either. Vanes versus Vanes. Yeah, that was a close fight. That was definitely a close fight. Vanes highly underrated, you know. Vanes had a close fight with one of the Charlo brothers too. He walked away from that fight. I don't know if it was one of the Charlo brothers or was it the fight with Andrade. One of the two. And I think he walked out of there thinking that he won the fight. So, I mean, Vanes is highly underrated, and he really doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's a good American fighter. He's an American fighter. Doesn't get support. Now Vanes is blackballed by Heyman. Vanes just isn't that active anymore, bro. Like, I don't think he's being blackballed. To be honest, there's only one fighter that I think is being blackballed by Al Heyman, and that's Keith Thurman. I think that Al Heyman has slowed down Keith Thurman's progression to make room for guys like Errol Spence and shit, or Jamal Charlo, just giving these other guys more attention when at the end of the day, you know, your best fighter that you have in your stock is Keith Thurman. And, you know, there's a lot of missed opportunities. You know, he made the fight with Keith Thurman against Kell Brook, and, you know, not Keith Thurman versus Kell Brook, Sean Porter versus Kell Brook. Sean Porter lost his IBF title, and that was a missed opportunity. That was a fight that should have happened with Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman could have had 3 titles right now, but if that would have happened, you know, who the fuck would Errol Spence be? He would just be a contender. Vanes repped America too. Yeah, man, he repped America, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but he really didn't get that attention. Let's see here. Oh, he was complaining about Heyman not getting him fights. He was complaining. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So he specifically called out Al Heyman for not getting him the fights he deserved? I mean, Vanes has a pretty good resume. He has fought the top competition at 154. Um, to be honest, one of the fights that was never asked for was Canelo versus Vanes, which, I don't know, in my opinion, I think that would have been a great fight. But, I mean, at this point where Vanes is at, I don't think boxing fans would allow that fight to happen at this point. I think expectations are higher for Canelo. Now, being at 160, there's definitely other names, but that would have been a fight I'd like to see. Um, PBC does a terrible job promoting their fighters. Fight once a year, don't build them. Well, see, that's the thing though, is that PBC is not a promotional company. PBC is not the promotional company. These fighters that are under Al Heyman don't have a promoter. They don't have a set promoter. They hire promoters for their individual fights, and they do short-term contracts with these promoters. So they'll do a 3-month contract, whatever time it takes to build the fight. But once the fight's over, if they're going to sign on to another fight, they go to a free agency again and try to find a promoter willing to promote that particular event. But they don't have, these fighters are not being signed on to long-term promotional companies, which is why you see these fighters kind of, that's why Wilder isn't fucking getting noticed, because, while you have Anthony Joshua, who has a set promoter, he has a promoter that's invested in him. So even when Anthony Joshua is not fighting, that promoter is still pushing Anthony Joshua as a fighter. But PBC fighters or Al Heyman fighters, they don't have a long-term promoter. So in between fights, no one's talking about them. And it's almost like you forget who they are. And then they come back, 6 months to a year later, and they're not fighting often enough for us to keep track of who they are or what they're doing. Or you got guys like Erislandy Lara, who is fighting, but he's just not fighting top competition. So you get a lot of guys that they're missing out on opportunities because they don't have a long-term promoter. To be realistic, all the hype that was built for Keith Thurman was when they were under Golden Boy. Keith Thurman was a monster when he was under Golden Boy. And he was getting great fights. They were building him up. They built him up to the point where a lot of us saw Keith Thurman as the boogeyman. But I don't know. That's the Al Heyman way. That's a new method. So I don't know if it's going to work. We'll see, though. It'll be a few years before we know if this is the right way to go. PBC has a heavyweight champion. Yeah, they do. They do. They have a right, but you wouldn't know it. Right. They have the heavyweight champion, who's arguably one of the most exciting fighters to watch in heavyweight. He has the charisma to become a superstar. I've been following him for the past, 4 or 5 years, and honestly, I haven't seen him progress. He's still the same Deontay Wilder from 5 years ago. He's a guy that no one talks about, no one knows he even exists. And he's an American heavyweight. He's like the only guy that we got that could possibly take all the belts. And we're not pushing him, And, well, not we, but Heyman or whatever. I don't know. It's just, I wish these guys were signed on to a promotional company. PBC got Wilder ducking top fighters. Yeah, well, I mean, what incentive does Wilder have to fight top fighters if no one even knows who he is? One thing I notice is that a lot of the times when you get these fighters that are, they're in front of the crowd, they're constantly fighting, they're being pushed, and they get to the point where they develop a fan base, and so now the criticism for that fighter comes within the fan base. But Wilder, his fan base is so small that there's no demand really for his next fight. They're just ready to see him fight whoever. But there's really no demand, Now you're starting to see a little bit of demand for Anthony Joshua, and you hear, Deontay Wilder calling out Joshua. So, he's calling these guys out. No one could predict that. Well, I mean, we all know that, especially with Russian fighters, there's always a problem with using PEDs, but no one expected that to happen in the Povetkin situation. So, I don't think you can hold that against Wilder. He would have had Povetkin under his resume. So, I'm happy with the fact that he's calling out Anthony Joshua. He's doing what I wish guys like Lara and Rigo would do. You know what I mean? So I can't get mad at Wilder. He's calling them out. He's acknowledging that they're there. He's got some responsibilities. Maybe he's got to fight one fight before he gets to Anthony Joshua, whatever. But he's doing what I want him. What necessarily what I want him to do is acknowledging the other champions, and he's been doing that so far. Wilder fighting in Alabama is good. It's good for the state. It's good for him, getting local recognition. But at the end of the day, send him to New York. Have him fight in California. You know what I mean? We all saw how, even with Andre Ward, who just fights in Oakland or in California, how that hurts. You know what I mean? It's been hurting him, or at least it hasn't been helping. So, it would be nice to see Deontay Wilder being exposed to other states, because I'm sure there's plenty of boxing fans that would love to see Deontay Wilder fight live. I know for a fact if he was at the StubHub Center, that shit would be sold out, and I would be there. Rasclad, Aztec, that's true. The heavyweight champ should be known before any other champion in the weight classes. Yeah, there's a lot more people keeping an eye out for Terrence Crawford than there is for Deontay Wilder. There's a lot more people watching there's a lot more people that know who Lomachenko is before Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? There's only one fucking person that's lasted 12 rounds with Wilder, and he's got 30 plus fights. That is insane. How do you not sell that? There's a 99.9% chance of a knockout when he fights someone. That's a fucking easy sell. You know what I mean? And he doesn't look like the current stock of heavyweights, where they're all overweight, obese. And he actually looks like an athlete. So, and I think that's what a lot of boxing fans have been waiting for in the heavyweight division. They're tired of seeing the overweight boxers, tire out in 3 rounds. Someone like Deontay Wilder who can go 6-7 rounds solid, strong, that's what they want to see. Sean Noon says going to Russia wasn't going to build him. Yeah, it wasn't going to it wasn't going to build him as far as, I mean, I'm sure he was going to gain new fans in Russia. There's boxing fans in Russia that just want to see a good fight. And, I guarantee you that they would love to see an American show up to their backyard. And even if they win, I think they'll give them respect. But I see what you're saying. It wouldn't really help. It wouldn't help as much as Wilder fighting in New York, Florida, California. But it would build him as a fighter. As a fighter, I think that, you wouldn't have that argument that Wilder isn't fighting anybody. If he would have fought Povetkin in Russia, But a lot of people were giving him way too much props for jumping on a plane and going to Russia. Like, all these, there's so many fucking fighters that have to travel. Look at Ndongo, man. He has to go from Africa, from his hometown all the way to the United States, and it's not easy. I'm sure it's not easy. There's so many foreign fighters that the only way that they can get these titles is by coming to the United States and fighting the Americans that are holding it. And Wilder, what he had to travel to Russia. Boo hoo, who gives a shit? Um, Red Fox, Wilder was supposed to fight Chris Sora a couple years back. Yeah, I remember that. There was talks about Chris Sora. Actually, a lot of the fights that you see happening now were fights that were talked about a few years ago. Um, you know, these were fights that a few, except for maybe I don't think people were expecting the Povetkin fight to to come so soon. I think a lot of people thought that Wilder was going to duck him, but that's also a fight that people have been asking for a while. Let's see here. American heavyweights have carried the sport until now. Yeah, well, I mean, American heavyweights. The problem is that we still have a heavyweight that can carry the sport. That's the problem. We do have a heavyweight that can carry the sport. But until Al Heyman, like the only way that you can stop everyone from saying, well, Anthony Joshua versus Wilder hasn't been built. No one's looking out for Wilder. As much as boxing fans, we want to say, well, that's not an excuse for a fight not to happen. At the end of the day, it is still true that Wilder doesn't have the fan base he should have. So, to me, I don't think that it's not an end all be all. Like, that's not a problem that you can't solve. You can definitely solve that problem. Sign him up for a year or two with a promotional company that's willing to invest their time and energy to promote him, even throughout when he's not fighting, even while he's recovering from injuries. If he had a promotional company that was helping him fucking literally promote him, if something like that was done 2 years ago, by now we would be having a serious conversation about Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. But as of right now, if Al Heyman doesn't decide to fix that, then we're gonna have another few years of us hearing that Wilder isn't bringing in any pay-per-views, that he's not a known fighter, that it won't sell. He's not doing anything. We're gonna hear all these excuses. So it's at the end of the day, it is up to Wilder and Al Heyman. Let's see here. Wilder KO'd farmers and mechanics. That fool KO. That fool. I mean, he can KO anybody. It's the heavyweight division, though. Even a bum is dangerous in the heavyweight division. It's just a different beast than any of the other divisions. Maybe cruiserweight's a little bit like that. Maybe even light heavyweight, but anywhere from below that, I mean, skill really plays a big role. But when it comes down to the heavyweights, one punch can end it. These guys are big enough to where they could punch holes through motherfuckers. So, I mean, Deontay Wilder lands that punch on anyone, even if they're more skilled than he is. He puts them to sleep. Miller won't beat any elite guys. Yeah, that's true. I don't think I don't think Gerald Miller is much. I don't know. Not really too hyped up on him. I haven't really been. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, man. I haven't really been too hyped up with the heavyweight division. There's so much more going on in the lighter weight divisions that until the heavyweight division gets their shit together, until these fighters start fighting each other and being consistent with it. I mean, I honestly I have a better time, watching 140-pound division, 160, 147. You know what I mean? 154 is stacked, but they're not fighting each other, so that's a little bit disappointing. 122 is stacked. They're fighting each other except for Rigo. So, I don't like that. 115, great division. They're fighting each other, and you can tell. So there's other divisions that I prefer to watch. There's let's see here. There's gonna be a cruiserweight fight on the Floyd Mayweather undercard, and who is it? Steve Cunningham versus Andrew Tabiti. What do you, I mean? What do you guys think of Nathan Cleverly versus Bodu Jack? Shit, I'm excited for also that same night Miguel Cotto versus Kamagai. They're gonna have a I guess co-main event, Ray Vargas versus Ronnie Rios. That's gonna be a really good fight. Let's see here. Oh, you're saying that's the only real fight, August 26th? Well, Jack Cleverly. Yeah, exactly. Jack and Cleverly, and then Vargas and Rios. Absolutely. Yeah, those are the two real fights. Um, those are the must. You have to see those fights. You have to see those fights. I mean, I'm gonna have most of my attention on the. I'm gonna watch the undercard, so I'm assuming that they'll probably air um, the Cleverly and Bodu Jack. They might air that one first, so I'll be keeping an eye out for that, and then I'm gonna tune in also for the Vargas versus Rios, and then I guess I'll just switch back and forth between Miguel Cotto and Floyd Mayweather. I'm gonna watch the Floyd Mayweather fight, but it's a little bit, I feel like the fight's cringeworthy. You know what I mean? There's a lot on the line. As a boxing fan, I really feel there's a lot on the line. So I'm a little bit nervous about this fight. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, fuck that. Fucking, Conor McGregor doesn't stand a chance to beat Floyd Mayweather, right? Which is the same way I feel, right? But as a fight is getting closer, at the end of the day, what I think does not matter. If fucking Conor McGregor goes in there and has one great round against Floyd Mayweather, I mean, fucking MMA fans are going to take it as a win. Casual boxing fans are going to look at that as a win. Because at the end of the day, McGregor wasn't even supposed to be in the ring with him. And the fact that he goes in there and wins a round, a lot of people are going to take that as a win. Let's see here. Yep, Jack wants Stevenson. That would be a great fight. I still want to see Stevenson versus Ward. I think that would be the ideal fight You get a undisputed. You get a unification. A very dangerous fight for Andre Ward. Um, but I think the division needs it, and I think Adonis Stevenson needs that fight. At this point, he's not going to get much credit for beating. Um, he'll still get credit for if he fought Kovalev, but it's not the anticipated fight that people were imagining. While Kovalev was undefeated, things changed. You got Andre Ward on top now, so that's the fight I would want to see. I think that's the most obvious fight to make, but we'll see about that. Rasclot, agreed. Floyd needs to win every fucking round or KO Conor. Exactly. The integrity of boxing is right now at the hands of Floyd Mayweather. The integrity of boxing is at the hands of Floyd Mayweather. If he does not fucking beat Conor McGregor, he has to embarrass Conor McGregor. He has to win every fucking round. And this is the sad part, is that we as boxing fans, we know that in a 12-round fight, there's a good chance that, the opponent that's outclassed, he could still win a round. He could still win a round or two. It's 12 rounds. So, there's a huge chance that Conor McGregor will pull off a win in some of those rounds. But but in the eyes and the perspective of a casual fan, a casual sports fan, that's going to be amazing to them. Because this whole time they've been hearing how Conor McGregor has no chance. And there's all this talk about he's not going to land a single punch and all that shit. You're setting, you already have the media setting fucking ridiculous expectations. Really? Floyd Mayweather is going to stand in the ring with someone and not get hit once. When has that ever happened? He always gets hit. You know what I mean? He always gets hit. He gets touched up in every fucking fight he's in. Let's see here. Floyd unfortunately is going to do that. Let's see. Floyd might give McGregor a round. Floyd might give him a round. He might use a round to download the information, get a read on McGregor. So, there's a good chance that, McGregor's going to win a round. Floyd's going to pretend he hurt, and they're going to say it should have been a DQ when he gets counted out. Well, I was talking about that yesterday. There's a really good chance that Floyd Mayweather might pull some dirty shit, causing Conor McGregor to react. I don't know if you guys remember, but the example I was giving was, if you guys remember, even the Maidana fight. I think Maidana bit his hand because apparently he was trying to poke Maidana. And then there was that one situation with Canelo when Floyd was using his finger to poke Canelo's eye, and Canelo hit him in the thigh, and they had to separate them and give Floyd a chance to recover. So if you do that to Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor doesn't really know how to react, and he gets frustrated and he feels like the referee isn't helping him, there could be a good chance that he might overreact and do something stupid that gets him disqualified. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, what if he kicks? What if he throws a kick or chokes him out or something?" I don't think he's gonna do that at all, but he could just do enough to get a point taken away or to get disqualified. Yeah, if he uses the forearms or elbow, Conor is gonna react. Yeah, for sure, man. For for sure. He's gonna react. You know, and I think it depends on how he reacts too. I don't know how prepared Conor McGregor is for that kind of inside fighting. Zone 6. If McGregor uses dirty boxing, could he win? Um, the one thing with dirty boxing though is, can McGregor pull it off to where he can do it without the referee counting it as a illegal punch or whatever it is he decides to do. Whether it's excessively hold on to Floyd, or if it's a low blow using your elbows. There's an art to it in boxing, because he can pull it off in an MMA fight, and when you do it in MMA, you don't have to hide it. But in boxing, can he pull off those same moves or pull off the same tactical, dirty fighting skills in front of a referee while the whole world is watching? Can he really pull that off? I don't know. I don't know if he'll. Here's the thing, though. If he lands a low blow, if he pulls a Zab Judah, I don't know what the fuck happens. You know what I mean? That's the problem with this fight, man, is there's a lot on the line. We don't know what could fucking happen. There's honestly, it's too risky for me to be able to enjoy the fight. Like, this is the only fight that I am 1,000% rooting for Floyd Mayweather to completely destroy his opponent. I don't even want to see a close fight. I want to see a one-sided fucking easy fight. I want to see him tattoo Conor McGregor, and I don't want to see anything else. I don't want to see Conor McGregor win a round. I want to see Conor McGregor either knocked out or black and blue at the end of the fight. That's what I want to see. Yeah, Marvin Gardens, he had his hand over Maidana's nose and mouth, and Maidana freaked out and bit him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And these are the type of things that Floyd does. He does this. He makes it uncomfortable. And if he feels that you're really comfortable in the fight, he's gonna do anything he can to rough you up, to get your mind off your original game plan. Floyd's making millions with this easy fight. Floyd ducked an entire class of welterweights. Yeah. To the hardcore boxing fan, that's definitely what it looks like. To the casual fan, this is the only obvious fight to make because they don't know the welterweight division. They can't name 3 other fighters other than Floyd and Pacquiao. So the Pacquiao fight's over, so the only fight that they can imagine is what's going on Twitter, and that's McGregor. So, this is a big money fight, and from our perspective, this should be an easy win. And the way that they're selling it is Conor McGregor has absolutely no chance. So, with those type of expectations, Conor McGregor's got nothing to lose. He's got nothing to lose. And if it just so happens that he goes in there and even wobbles Floyd, even if he lands one good punch or has one really good round, that's going to be enough to strike a blow to boxing. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm not really happy with this fight happening. If Conor McGregor would have came in and had a professional fight with Paulie Malignaggi, that won't affect us. That really won't mean shit. But you're taking on the guy that the media is saying is the best in this generation, and they're not even questioning it. There's without a shadow of a doubt that people are already saying this guy's the best in the division, and not to take anything away from Floyd, but is he? Is he the really the best of this generation? I mean, he's the guy that has the best, an undefeated record. But I mean, when you start breaking down who Floyd has fought, when he's fought them, you see a lot of holes in the game. How often is he fighting? What is he doing with his belts? Has he unified a division? Um, did he fight Manny Pacquiao when he was supposed to fight him? How significant was that fight? You start breaking down Floyd's resume and you start seeing, well, it's not really that as special as we like to make it out to be. But the media is running with it. They're just saying he's the best of this generation. And when you got the media saying that, people are expecting that kind of performance. They're expecting Floyd to do something that they've never seen before. Quran Bread. Floyd said he's going forward. Who believed that? You know what, Quran, and that's one of the things too that bothers me, is Floyd is talking about how he's gonna make this a real fight. He wants to make up for the Pacquiao fight, and it bothers me because fact is that we know you're not an offensive fighter. That's not you. This is not the fight to go in there and try something new, bro. Go in there, fucking do what you're good at, dance around the ring, make fucking McGregor look stupid, make a miss, use your defense, don't do anything stupid, don't put yourself out there more than you have to, because if Conor McGregor can take advantage of Floyd Mayweather being more aggressive than he's accustomed to, it could be a very tough fight for Floyd. Remember when Floyd fought Maidana and the first time, and it was very close, and some people thought Maidana won. Floyd came out and said, well, you know what, people wanted to see me stand in front of the fighter without moving around, and it turned out to be a lot closer fight than it had to be. Then you had the second fight, the rematch. You saw Floyd outbox Maidana, and he had a much easier time. This is not the fucking fight to play around like you're fighting Maidana, Like I said, the integrity of boxing is at risk here. Don't fuck around with that. Let's see here. Floyd's the best something. Not sure what I'd use to say it, though. Let's see here. Right. And you know what? A lot of people don't really recognize Vladimir as one of the best. But, I mean, the guy, Vladimir, to be honest, he pretty much has the closest thing to an old school resume. You know what I mean? Just that type of resume where you got multiple generations of fighters under one resume. He pretty much fought everyone up until the end. He fought the best in his division. Now you can say that, Vladimir Klitschko is boring. You can say that he's a dirty fighter. You can say all these things the same way that people would say about Floyd Mayweather. But the one thing you can't say about Klitschko is that, he's a cherry picker. You can't say that. That's the one thing you can't say about Klitschko. As boring as his style was, Vlad passed the torch on a high. Yeah, he really took the classy way out. He took the classy way out, man. He went out and he fought the best young fighter that was around him. I mean, a win with Anthony Joshua or a win with Deontay Wilder, that would have been a great fight. Even his fight with Tyson Fury, if that was his last fight, that's still a great way to go out. He took on high-level competition. And I think the reason why he took on the Anthony Joshua fight is because he didn't want to stop and lose. He didn't want to lose to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is acting a fool, talking mad shit. And I think that he didn't want to end his career like that. I think he would have rather taken a loss to more respectable competition because, Tyson Fury is kind of looked at as right now he's looked at as a joke, a clown. Someone that had potential but didn't really live up to it. Let's see here. Yeah, yeah, he was contemplating having a rematch, man. You know what? I'm sure he had his family telling him, like, fucking retire, dude. The guy is married to I think he lives in Hollywood. He's fucking married to an actress, an American actress. Um, there's no reason he doesn't have to fucking fight. You know what I mean? He can really sit back and enjoy his life. And they probably told him, like, look, man, just hang him up. There's no reason for you to go in there and fight Anthony Joshua again. You really got nothing to prove. You know what I mean? And no matter if he would have beat Anthony Joshua, I really don't think the boxing media would portray him as, the best of this generation. But arguably, yeah, Klitschko is up for debate, man. He could really be the best of this generation. Oh, what's up, Mr. Boxing today? Disappointed Fury isn't fighting. Yeah, man, the guy had a mouthpiece on him, and he was really able to sell fights. Could you imagine a press conference between him and Deontay Wilder? That shit would be fucking fireworks, man. But hey, he's not living up to his potential. I don't think Fury likes to fight. I think he did it to make a living, but I don't think he likes to fight. From Pull-Up to Jennings to Fury to AJ, contenders back to back. Fuck. I mean, Klitschko really does have an impressive resume. It's fucking impressive. I would love to see. I mean, shit, man. I would love to see a documentary on Klitschko, on both brothers. If anyone knows of a documentary that I can, that's recent, I would like to see a recent one. But if you guys know of a documentary that you want to recommend, let me know, because I'm really into kind of looking at it from a perspective where they focus on just one fighter and what was going on in between fights, things that I wasn't paying attention to, their personal life and shit like that. I think they probably have an interesting story. I mean, you go from boxers to I think they're politicians, right? Or they're involved in politics in their country. So I'd like to know what the fuck they're doing. They probably have a really interesting story. Fury done blowing up. Hey, Mr. Boxing today. We were just talking about the heavyweight division, and I'd like to get your opinion on this. What do you think is holding Wilder back? I think there's right now there's a little bit of attention with Wilder and Anthony Joshua, and I think it's picking up a little steam. But there's always the argument that the fight won't sell. Who has Wilder fought? Wilder's cherry picking. Blah 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 blah. Right. My argument is that Deontay Wilder isn't being promoted like he should. As an American heavyweight, who's probably the most exciting fighter to watch in boxing. There's only one fighter in his entire resume that has lasted 12 rounds. I think it's an easy sell to casual boxing fans, but there's something missing. There's something missing. Is it Al Heyman? Is it Wilder? Is it the fan base? What's going on? Why is it that he just isn't getting picked up? Yeah, Vitaly was a better fighter. He was a better fighter. Vitaly is the mayor of Ukraine's capital city. Right, 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 right. I like to know a little bit more about their what they're doing, their personal life. Um, They both fought a little bit different too. I like how unique they were, you know. And they both were fucking. They're big guys. They're big guys, and I think Vitali's a taller fighter. No, I think Vitali is just a little bit taller. I wonder what a prime Vitali would have done against AJ. All right, guys. So what do you guys think of Terrence Crawford versus Ndongo? Now that we got we got a few heads here watching. Oh, okay, Mr. Boxing Today. I got a response. All right, let's see. Wilder can't seem to get a fight. We all want to see Povetkin was going to be that fight. Yup, I agree. Once he gets an Ortiz, Parker, AJ type of win, fans will respect him. I think the fans that are watching out for the heavyweight division. Obviously you have a lot of boxing fans that are keeping an eye on AJ. They're keeping an eye on Ortiz, and put Wilder on the back burner. But how does Wilder get casual boxing fans to tune in to the heavyweight division to watch him? I'm starting to see that there's a small group of people that watch the heavyweight division, but the majority of boxing fans, they got their eyes on middleweight, welterweight. You know what I mean? Like these are the popular divisions right now. This is where it's at. When historically in the United States, it's always been the heavyweight division. So when we got someone as exciting as Wilder, I mean, what does Wilder have to do to get that excitement back into the division? Get people excited about heavyweights. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I guess yeah. If he pulls off, a good string of wins, um, that'll get people's attention. You know, I get it. So as long as he just keeps fighting and he fights high level competition, he should be able to fix his problem. But what comes there first? The chicken or the egg? So what will come first? Him proving himself against Wilder, or him proving that he can sell pay-per-views before he gets the Wilder fight, you know? Because one has to come first. It's either he proves that he can sell so he can get a Joshua fight. I'm sorry, I got the names mixed up. So Wilder, he's got to prove himself in order to get the Joshua fight, because there's a lot of people saying he hasn't fought anybody and he's not selling. But if he fought Joshua, he would get respect and he would start selling. So it's kind of a catch-22. It's like, how can he do it without Joshua? What they want him to do is to start selling. But without Joshua, is there anybody available that can get him that kind of recognition, that can get him that kind of pay-per-view sales? I don't think an Ortiz fight will. I mean, it's a great fight for hardcore boxing fans, but it's not a fucking pay-per-view event. You know what I mean? In your opinion, Pulev would not be enough. Most fans will find a way to discredit Pulev and his resume. I'd give him credit though. Yeah. Well, I mean, like a lot of the names that you mentioned, Mr. Boxing Today, I think that'll be kind of the same situation too. I mean, if you fought Parker, if you fought Ortiz, I think fans will find a way to discredit those opponents. Hardcore boxing fans would definitely give Wilder credit for winning that fight, but those fights. But I don't think a lot of people are really that hyped up on Parker, especially. I think a lot of people are watching Ortiz. Ortiz is a really good fighter. He's solid. But casuals and most boxing fans are looking at AJ. Andy Ruiz, Parker, White, Ortiz. He's got options. He needs to stop fighting 15 to 25 type of opponents and step up. I agree. Marvin Gardens, I agree. Mr. Boxing Today. The only big pay-per-view event I see for Wilder is an AJ fight. Exactly, I agree with that, 100%. Parker, White, Ortiz, etc. just aren't pay-per-view events in the States. I agree. But in order for him to get the Joshua fight, like they're expecting him to have a fan base to sell. So, I mean, how do you do it? How will he be able to do it? Because the only pay-per-view fight that you can sell is AJ. So it's kind of like I said, it's kind of a catch-22. I mean, he's in a situation where, he can fight the other guys, and before you get a shot at AJ, and these are heavyweights, man. Any one of these guys, even if they're not as skilled as Wilder or, as athletic as Wilder, they're heavyweights, and any one of these guys lands a big punch on Wilder, they have a good chance of knocking him out, and vice versa. So either Wilder or AJ, if they wait too long, they can take a loss. That can always happen. This isn't the same as a welterweight division, or it's not the same as us talking about Rigondeaux. You know what I mean? Rigondeaux can fight, I think, in the lower weight divisions. It's mostly skill. Obviously, there's athletic advantages and size advantages that come into play. But for the most part, skill can carry you. But in the heavyweight division, it's not always skill, man. It's not. Sometimes someone's got your number, and with these big guys, they land a big shot, and it's over immediately. So I don't want it to be over before it starts for Wilder. You know what I mean? Let's see. So, I agree all those guys are formidable guys. However, I've seen all those guys be labeled bums by tons of fans. So, fans need to stop labeling everyone as a bum and let these guys fight. Yeah, that's a big problem, too. It's a big problem. One thing I notice is a lot of boxing fans are satisfied with the mentality where it's like you could just say such and such fighter beats everyone, right? So like fighters get really comfortable saying, or boxing fans get really comfortable. They say, Errol Spence, he wipes everyone out. He beats everyone in his division. Before and they're content with that, just being able to say that. And Errol Spence wouldn't necessarily have to fight everyone to prove it. He can fight, some top 15, top 20 type of guys, and that's enough. Pull off a few knockouts and that's enough. Hardcore boxing fans, though, we will eventually want him to step up and fight champions and do all that, but it seems like there's definitely a group of fans that are overusing the term bum. They label everyone a bum, and at the end of the day, they have a boxer that they like, and they don't mind that boxer just sitting on a belt. Why does he have to fight him? He's a bum. Or why does he have to fight that guy? All that guy's done is fight bums. And that's why there's no incentive. There's no incentive for these boxers to go out there and prove themselves, because boxing fans they're too busy arguing with other boxing fans. They spend more time arguing with other boxing fans and talking about why fights should not happen instead of just letting fights happen. I've heard many UK fans label Martin, Brazil, Ruiz, Miller as fat bums. Hey, you know what? And that's one of the reasons why I stopped watching really the heavyweight division. I'm really not focused on the heavyweight division because I'm just tired of watching all these overweight boxers, get tired in 3 rounds. I don't know. I don't know. I know the knockout's highly likely, but I've been watching a lot of heavyweights recently. They just run out of breath. They don't have the same endurance that they used to have. Heavyweights have gotten bigger. You know what I mean? They've just gotten bigger, and I think a lot of guys carry a lot of weight, unnecessary weight, just to not lose the weight advantage because they're fighting guys that are not trimmed down. It's like everyone's a smaller version of Butterbean or some shit. All right, guys. Damn, it's been an hour and 45 minutes. I'm gonna close this off. I had a lot of fun with you guys. We pretty much went over all the major divisions, and if you guys have anything you want to talk about, I'll have another live stream on Saturday, fight night. So I'll probably do a live stream before the fight. And hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for joining in. I had a lot of fun talking boxing. Let's do it again. It's Aztec 101 in the ring, and I'm out.